Confederate flag is coming off the grounds of the South Carolina State House.
And that will happen today. In about 5 hours, the Confederate battle flag on State House grounds will be no more. This morning, we're bringing you team coverage from the Capitol as the state and nation prepare to watch a history-making moment in the Palmetto State. It's Friday, July 10th. Our special edition of Sunrise starts right now.
Investigating the stories that matter to you. Live from Columbia in high definition. This is WIS News 10.
Good morning, I'm Mary King reporting live from the State House this morning, where for the first time in more than 50 years, once the sun rises this morning, it'll be the last time that it rises on the Confederate flag on the State House grounds. Again, many calling this an historic moment in South Carolina history. It's a day some say they thought they'd never see. Others saying again, they're still hesitant the day is coming at all, but we are expecting large crowds outside the State House this morning, and we're going to give you all the details that you need to know. Our Michael Higdon is live out here this morning. She's got more, and if you plan to come down today, what you need to know, where you'll park, where those roads are closed off. And then we also do have those mixed emotions, those reactions from people on both sides of the aisle as we head into today, which will no doubt, whatever side you're on, be a historic moment for South Carolina. Lynn?
All right, Mary, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you shortly. Also making top headlines today, temperatures will again be approaching triple digits. Tim Miller has your first alert forecast this morning. Tim.
Yeah, Lynn, it really is. This is going into our third day of it. It didn't quite make 100 yesterday.
Right now on News 10 Sunrise, a Midlands neighborhood hit hard by the October floods, on edge again as SCE&G has opened a spill gate overnight, sending water downstream near their homes, while officials say they shouldn't be worried.
And again, we're talking about another round of rain, which could lead to flooding. I have details coming up.
Plus, the big day is finally here. The Clemson Tigers will square off against Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl with hopes of making it to the national championship game. It's Thursday, December 31st, and News 10 Sunrise starts right now.
Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
Good morning. Thanks for waking up with Sunrise. I'm Caroline Patricus.
And I'm Allie Spilliards. Mary and Lynn have the morning off today. It's 5 o'clock on your New Year's Eve. About an hour ago, SCE&G officials opened one spill gate from the Lake Murray Dam into the lower Saluda River.
And while officials say there's nothing to worry about, neighbors in the Pine Glen neighborhood are watching the situation closely. That's where we find our Michael Higdon live this morning with the latest. Michael.
Caroline, Allie, we are just downstream from where all of this is taking place in the Pine Glen neighborhood, and neighbors are watching this situation very closely. You can see why many of them are still rebuilding, recovering from the devastation they saw back in October from the historic flood. Now, over the past several days, weeks, months, there's been a ton of rain here in the Midlands. This area right here in Pine Glen still very saturated, but a good amount of that water has also ended up in Lake Murray. SCE&G officials say the lake cannot exceed its licensed operation level of 360 feet, which as of last night was about 2 feet shy of. A reason the electric and gas utility opened one spill gate early this morning ahead of more potential rain in the coming days. Since 4 a.m., the gate has been releasing up to 18,000 cubic feet per second into the lower Saluda River. Now that's about an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 5 seconds or so. And neighbors here in Pine Glen say they are very nervous.
Right now, I think a lot of people are very kind of in a state of nervousness, not sure what's going to happen. You know, we just went through this on Christmas Eve. When the sirens went off, and a lot of people were unsure about what that meant. So we're kind of in a state of frantic.
Now, we're told multiple agencies are monitoring the situation. They say that you should check Facebook and Twitter for any updates. Also, SCE&G officials will be monitoring the lake levels over the next 48 hours to see if any additional actions will be needed. But I can tell you right now, definitely very saturated ground here in the Pine Glen neighborhood, but we're not seeing any exponential flooding, but we will continue to monitor the status here throughout the morning. Live in the Pine Glen neighborhood, I'm Michael Higdon. Back to you in studio.
Remain in shelters after those fast-raging wildfires ripped through the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. And this morning, 3 people have died from those fires in Gatlinburg, which has been called the most devastating in more than 100 years. This morning, our Allie Spilliards is live in Pigeon Forge, where rain has been falling overnight, an answered prayer for the hundreds of firefighters and first responders who are still battling these flames. Allie.
Mary, that rain was such a welcome sight this morning, but we are not out of the woods just yet. This is the main road leading into Gatlinburg from Pigeon Forge, and it does remain closed this morning. But with that next round of rain that we just heard Tim talking about, there is a lot of hope that this could all soon be over. Now, here's a look at just some of the devastation we saw yesterday up in the mountains. This is all that is left of the homes we found less than a mile off the road that connects the 2 towns. Power lines and trees were down in many spots, although we do know emergency crews have been working around the clock to clear those roads and get people home as soon as possible. Now, it could take some time to know the complete scope of the damage done, but we do know entire neighborhoods have been wiped out, so lots of devastation here. There is some good news, though, with more rain expected later today. Also, a lot of unanswered questions still, including the cause of this fire. And for a lot of the homeowners who are still in shelters this morning, they're wanting to know whether their homes were spared. And I'll have more on that coming up for you in our next half hour. Live in Pigeon Forge, Allie Spilliards, WIS News 10.
All right, thank you, Allie. New developments this morning on the Pinnacle Mountain fire that continues to burn in the upstate of South Carolina. The fire has now burned through more than 10,000 acres and is now 62% contained at last check. Table Rock State Park has now reopened. It was closed since the fire started earlier this month. Officials say firefighters will continue to stay on the scene, but have scaled back operations due to rain in the area.
Turning our eyes to this other major story. Overnight, we've gotten new video of a vigil held last night for the victims and survivors of that Columbia plane crash. People came together to light candles and leave notes for the team that was supposed to play its first game in South America's soccer tournament tonight. Meanwhile, plane crash investigators in Columbia have released a picture here on your screen of those black boxes from the plane as they try to determine what caused that plane to go down. New details have come to light, including this video that those 77 people were on board that plane instead of 81 as originally thought. Only 6 people survived the crash, including 3 players, a journalist, and 2 flight crew members. Brazilian flags are flying at half staff in the country. Meanwhile, investigators will continue to be on site today to search for answers in the crash. We are just learning a possible tornado has killed 3 people in Alabama as a line of severe storms moved across the south. Officials say this all happened in the northeastern community of Rosalie. There were reportedly a number of other injuries, and 16 to 20 buildings in that county have also been destroyed. Now, tornadoes were also reported across several counties in northern Alabama and southern Tennessee. That's why meteorologist Tim Miller is keeping a close eye on these storms, because the system is kind of tracking our way, Tim. And of course, the question then is, what does that bring us?
Yeah, you bet. In fact, I was watching a tornado warning in effect just moments ago for near Huntsville in Alabama. So, I mean, this is a powerful line of storms, all part of that front. Yeah, and it's moving our way. The good news for us, I'm not expecting any type of big outbreak of severe weather. I do think that we'll have our chance of some strong storms, no doubt about it, but not like we're seeing in Alabama this morning. What you see now, the sort of like a reddish color on the screen, that's a tornado watch for parts of Alabama. And this is into northwest Georgia. That would be a severe thunderstorm warning. Just down to the east of Huntsville, there was a tornado warning moments ago. That's hence expired. High wind warning still for parts of the mountains of North Carolina, but into Tennessee, right underneath that, that's a severe thunderstorm warning as well. So here's the view here. I want to zoom into Gatlinburg, and this is what we're watching here in Pigeon Forge. Watch these bands of rain, which is great, right? But the winds have been howling here in the mountains, so, you know, that feeds the flame here with this. So, yeah, we have the winds, but we also have the rain. There's more rain coming. It's sort of a lull at the moment. They'll have some more rain, and that will certainly help with the wildfires, not only in Tennessee, but parts of North Carolina as well. So much needed rain here. What's not needed is the severe weather, but that's just going to be the case here with this, with the dynamics the way they're working. But the severe weather, the bulk of it, again, I think will remain towards the west for much of the day until we get into the afternoon time. Then that front heads our way, but a lot of the juice that produces that will be pretty much expired at that point. For us, we have a little bit of cloud cover, but it is warm and it is humid this morning as we have temperatures into the 60s. Look at this, 64 Lexington, 61 in town, and perhaps a little bit of fog as well in places. Here's the forecast for today. We'll see some peekaboo sunshine and perhaps up to 80 degrees later this afternoon. That'd be a record high. And then late this afternoon, that line of storms move through. I'll talk about the timing of the storms and what we can expect with all of that coming up in just a few minutes.